Well, we're going to talk to Fraser, anyway.
Buy one.
If I say the word sheep to you, Fraser, what does that bring up, you know?
Sheer agony.
There are quite a few dead ones recently, weren't there, in Emmerdale Farm?
There were, actually, yes.
And they were the deadest sheep I've ever seen in my life.
I know, some even had rigor mortis.
That's right.
They were lying like that. Yes, there was some... That was a hard thing to do, that. Filming from 6 in the morning till about 6 the following morning. Doing all those sort of special effects. And we saw it on the big screen in the rushes, and it looked a lot better than it did on television, in a way, because it's like you see one of your favourite films in the cinema. Everything looks great, but when you get the video out, and like Jaws looks like a minnow, because on a TV screen it's a lot smaller.
But you were pleased with what eventually ended up on the screen?
It did, yes. So we didn't... All the cast, when we first heard we were going to do that sort of thing, we thought, oh dear, what's it going to be like?
Oh dear, look who's...
You're late. Have you got a note? Into the study.
Sorry.
Round of applause, please!
Sophie Aldred.
Hooray! Ooh, Doctor Who t-shirt. I mean, when I saw you filming for the documentary, you had a Doctor Who jacket on. Are you getting paid for all this advertising?
No, I'm just a fan of Doctor Who's. You know, I'm one of the fans. I always go to as many conventions as I can because I like meeting the cast.
Of course. Shall we get her autograph later?
Yes,
please. So, Sophie, I haven't seen you in a lot of television productions recently. What have you been doing?
Well, I've been doing a lot of television, actually. No, I'm doing children's channel at the moment, which I don't... Those of you lucky enough to own a Sky Dish may have seen me prancing about with two little puppets called Dreeb and Droid. And we do a programme every morning from 9 o'clock till 11 o'clock. And I play Sophie Socket. And I'm Sophie Socket, and I mend the rat can rocket, which is a spaceship. I'm a mechanic, and I have spanners all over my hat and my costume and things. It's marvellous. No, it's not live actually, though it's done as if it were live. So basically, we get this. Oh, hello. We get the script down from where they've written it, and I get a chance to look at it for about 30 seconds, and then we record it. So it's been very challenging, very good for my my brain power, or bad for it, I don't know.
If it goes up between 9 and 11, do you learn it? Do you shoot it the day before, then? Or?
No, we do about 5 days worth in one day, and then it goes out sort of a week later. So it's all crammed together into one day. So I've been doing that, and I've been doing... A few of you may have noticed the camera that's been sort of following around, or you may have been accosted by some people earlier today for SSVC, which is the British Forces television station.
That's what it stands for?
Yes, it stands for BF... No, hang on. Services, Sound and something. Virtual reality or something. Somebody knows. Anyway, everything... That's quite alarming because I do that once a week, and it is live, that one, and everything I say is beamed off straight away to the Falklands and Gibraltar and Germany. So, actually not Bosnia. We get a lot of requests in from kids to say hello to their dads who are in Bosnia, and it's really good actually because it's given me a real sense of feeling in touch with what's going on out there and the kinds of the pressure that families undergo with their husbands or fathers or whatever in the forces and serving in Bosnia. It's really quite sort of it's quite chilling in a way.
What do you do in the show?
That's like it's children's BBC really, for children's SSVC, and so really I'm in this little broom cupboard and I give out birthdays and introduce link between the programmes because they take all their programmes from BBC and ITV. They have Emmerdale, in fact. Did you know that? Yes. No. So you're seen all over the place too.
Not a lot of people know that.
Not a lot of people know that.
So how did you both get started in the biz then?
I was born at a very early age, and
It started, I saw this before it even began.
in Harrogate, Yorkshire, and I used to go to a dancing school there. And when I was about 7 years old, we moved to London to a drama school called Corona School, and I started off as a little tiny boy actor, just sort of in crowd scenes. There was a school scene, I was sort of in those sort of crowd scenes, and then got a speaking part in one film and something else, and then I just sort of carried on from there. As a little boy actor, and they haven't found me out yet.
I started quite late, really. It's funny, isn't it, that that comparison. I did a lot of school plays and things like that, and I knew that I wanted to do performing in some way. When I was 5, my parents went to a parents' evening at school, and they said, well, how's Sophie getting on? And my teacher said, well, she's a lovely little girl, but she's got such a loud voice, she said. So I knew I had to do something with my voice. I actually ended up going to university, and I did drama at university. And then I decided that I still wanted to do acting, so I left and got my equity card singing around working men's clubs around Manchester. And then got into children's theatre, which I love doing, sort of going to schools and doing theatre there. And then gradually doing more and more children's theatre, which was musical as well. And then eventually just got... Oh, I say.
She's got a lovely voice. I went to see Sophie in a musical in London called Lust, and you had a beautiful singing voice. I never knew you could sing so well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, I thoroughly enjoyed doing that, actually. I was in the West End last year for 4 months doing this musical, and it was great because although I've always sung and I've always been in training for singing, I've never actually used my proper voice. I mean, because those of you who've seen the children's telly that I've done, I do sing in that, and it's a very sort of sing a song of sixpence, a pocket full of rye, that kind of singing, and it's not my sort of my real voice, if you like. So it was lovely to have a chance to use that voice. It was lovely that you came and saw it. Thank you.
Well, I find a lot of the people who have appeared in Doctor Who, the various assistants, it's like a club, and you actually do go along and see, you meet people at conventions and get to know them, friends with them, and then you go and see them do other things. It's like a club, isn't it? Yeah. Well, there's a lot of shows you do, you might never see that actor again, and if you see them appearing in something, you think, well, I won't go and see them, I can't be bothered.
You enjoy being part of the whole phenomenon.
The Doctor Who family, I think it is, yeah. And it's funny, again, that there's no animosity. Nobody says my doctor was better than yours, or my assistant was funnier than yours, or better than yours, or screamed louder. There's no competition, is there? And you meet up all these sort of conventions, and nobody says, I got more applause than you did, and my doctor was more famous. It's just like belonging to this lovely big family.
So, Sophie, you were in Dimensions of Time, which was screened fairly recently. Couldn't you appear? Why didn't you appear in that, Fraser? Were you busy on Emmerdale?
I must have been busy. Dimensions of Time, was that a new story?
That was the anniversary thing, the children's.
Oh, yes.
The special.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yes, I was thinking it was something totally different. No, I was supposed to be in that, and JNT wrote me in to that, and I was filming one Wednesday, so I couldn't do it. So JNT was, we'll swap it over to the following Monday. The following Monday, I said, right, I'll be there. And he sent me the revised script, and then Emmerdale, they changed their schedule around, as TV companies often do, and I couldn't do it either. So I was a bit put out, because I'd like to have been in that, and when I saw it, it looks like it was fun to do. Meeting everybody in EastEnders.
It was great fun. It was... What was really sad about it was that I really felt, great, I'm getting my teeth into it again. And of course, I was only there, I was there for one morning on the EastEnders lot to do the EastEnders stuff, and then I had to rush off to do a matinee. And then one day down at Greenwich doing the rest of it. And it just wasn't long enough. It was a real shame. What was very strange was that everybody was there, from the old days. There was a costume designer and all the people who we'd worked with before. There was Mike Tucker on visual effects, and it just felt as though we were going to start doing another series of Doctor Who, and it was just a shame because it finished after one day. And it was quite strange because I was walking around the Cutty Sark learning my lines in the morning with Sylvester. We were walking sort of arm in arm with each other, and all the crew were saying, this is like old times, and it really did feel like going straight back, 4 years or whatever it was, to when we were filming it. And it was just a shame that it wasn't longer, really.
Maybe they'll do another one.
Let's hope so. Fraser, you've got to shoot off quite early. Was it 4:30 you've got to shoot off at, or?
Yes, about.
Yeah, well, what I'd like to do, because we haven't done it today yet, we haven't opened any questions up to the floor. So I'd like to take a few questions to the floor if you've got any.
You got any questions?
There you go. What time of it?
I don't know.
What is your favourite story? Shut up.
Yeah.
What was it like working with Patrick Troughton?
Wonderful, really good. I think he was a very believable doctor. He was impish, twinkle in his eye. If he pulled a step ladder out of his pocket or a rope ladder, you could actually believe his sort of doctor would have a pocket full of rope ladders and or a machine gun or something. He was great fun. We used to have a lot of fun with him. There was one particular story where he was playing the two parts in The Enemy of the World, and he had this long speech. And it was Zoe and I he kept drying on this particular speech, and we kept laughing. And the more an actor starts drying and forgetting his words, the more you find it harder not to laugh. And in the end, he said, "Oh, you little shit! Honestly, I've got all these words. You don't have any words to say. You just sort of stand looking." I said, "Well, I'm sort of paid to stop the girls going out, and Wendy's paid to stop the dad's gardening, and you're paid all that money to say all the long words. So you get on with it." So he got halfway through the speech and got over the line that he was always drying on, gave this lovely sort of twinkle in his eyes, he went "yeah" to us, and then forgot the next line. So I had to go back to the beginning again. But no, he was sorely missed, and I'd worked with him before on a thing called Smuggler's Bay in 1964, and never dreaming that we'd team up in Doctor Who. But we always say, Patrick and I, when he was alive, we always said we would have never left the TARDIS if we'd known that Leela was going to be the next female assistant. In that loincloth. Could have polished the Whomobile with it.
Another question, please. At the back. Go ahead. Shout, sir. Shout.
Yeah, both of you, was there any time in Doctor Who when you thought, no way, I'm not going to get into this character, I hate the whole thing?
No, I think they're still alive, actually.
Very occasionally, just when it was freezing cold, like for example down when we were doing Curse of Fenric, and there was a scene that was written where I was meant to be seducing the young soldier. I don't know if you've seen that bit. And I'm standing there, and the line went something like, "Oh, it's so hot. Oh, I can hardly bear it." Something like that. And I was anyway, we had to change the line because, in fact, there were snowflakes falling behind us, and I could see poor old Marcus, who was playing the sailor. His cheek was moving like this because he was shivering so much. He was trying to stop himself shivering. So we had to change the line to, "There's a cold wind whistling up from," something like that. And it was just so unbelievably cold, it really was. And that was always the worst time for me, when it got cold. I mean, I especially asked for that nice warm jacket so that I could have lots of jumpers and thermal vests underneath, and then sometimes that didn't work, like when I had to jump into the water at the end of Curse of Fenric, and it was April, and it was very, very cold. But actually, in terms of the character, in terms of actually playing in Doctor Who, no, there was never any time where I didn't want to do it. It was wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
There was one time that I really didn't want to. I was supposed to have a fight. I think it was one of the Dalek stories. I had to fight with this big Turk, Kemal the Turk, big coloured guy, and do a wrestling match. And I said to Innes Lloyd, "Innes, I really don't want to do this fight because I'm wearing a kilt, and if we roll on the floor, and Jamie's a Highlander and shouldn't be wearing anything under his kilt, but because it's children's television, he's got to. So I really would rather." And he said, "Well, we'll shoot it in such a way that nothing will be seen." And I was really, really worried and dreading the day. And then when Peter Diamond worked out this sort of, they obviously used Jamie's agility and this Turk, who was a great lumbering fellow, so we didn't actually get to grips and roll over. And then there was another time we had this helicopter scene where the helicopter had to come swooping in. Some of you may already know the story, but forgive me for telling it again. they said the rope ladder will come down, Jamie climbs up the ladder, then the girl, and then the doctor. We were rescuing this professor's daughter, and I suddenly thought, well, wait a minute, with a helicopter, the downdraft will hit the concrete, the wind will rise, and everybody will know what Jamie wears under his kilt. I said, I think Jamie would send a girl first. Being a Highland gentleman, he would send and they said, what a good idea. So they queued the helicopter came in, the rope ladder came down, she climbed 1 foot on the rope ladder, and her skirt went round her neck, and she climbed into the helicopter, and they said, right, cut, break for lunch. After lunch, Fraser, your turn. And all the crew were going, Fraser, it's your turn. We are going to see what Jamie wears. And I thought, oh, sweating buckets. And my dresser, who was fishing on a river bank. And I'd read that morning that the Queen has little lead weights sewn into the hem of her skirt, so if she ever steps off an aeroplane, and it's a windy day, nobody sees the Queen's royal thighs. So I went down to him, I said, listen, you've got little sort of lead weights for fishing. He said, yes. I said, will you sew them into the hem of my kilt? What for? And I told him, he said, well, good idea. So he sort of sewed all these weights in. I put the kilt back on again, and they said, right, lunch over, get the helicopter, get him over the far hill. Okay, Fraser, on you come. And I sort of clanked onto this sort of runway like that. And they queued this helicopter, and the rope ladder came down, and I put my foot in, and the kilt hung down like a safety curtain in a theatre. And I started to climb up this ladder, and the kilt was hanging, and I was looking down, and the cameraman was sort of looking, shaking the camera, and he couldn't believe his eyes. The director was looking, everyone was looking, thinking, oh, what's going on? They couldn't believe it, so I got under the helicopter, and they still never found out what Jamie wore under his kilt.
Another question from the audience.
No, in actual fact, I was quite lucky. I didn't have to audition because Sean Sutton, who was the head of children's television at the time, I'd worked for him many, many times in Sunday serials. And he just thought, oh, Scott's boy coming up. Yes, Fraser does Scott's action, fine. Would you like to play this character, Jamie, for... It was just going to be 6 episodes. And we filmed at Frensham Ponds, and after about the 2nd episode went out, they had a lot of letters from the viewers saying, wouldn't it be a good idea if Jamie became a travelling companion, because he's never seen electric light, he's never seen gas, he's from 1746, everything would be new to him, wouldn't be a good idea. So they said to me, would you like to sort of sign on for another couple of stories to see how you blend in with Polly and Ben? And I said, yeah, I'd love to, particularly working with Patrick. So I was only supposed to be in for 6 episodes, and sort of viewer power, writing in, that halfway through we had to go back to Frensham Ponds. We'd already filmed me waving goodbye to the TARDIS, you see, so we had to go back to Frensham in an afternoon and film me doing another scene where I was brought back into the TARDIS. So we filmed 2 endings, one, the original one, and then the one that kept me in the TARDIS for 3 years.
Hello. Got me there, didn't you? Another question, please.
Fraser, were you expecting to leave after the end of the war games, or did you decide to leave with your own choice?
I was going to leave actually about 3 months before the war games. My agent at the time was saying, you've done enough television now, I want you to do theatre, I want you to do films, I want you to do all this grand idea that agents have. And I said, but I'm having a great time and I'm enjoying it. He said, yes, you didn't become an actor to enjoy yourself. I'm trying to build a career around you and this, that and the other. So I said to them, I want to leave. And the producer said, well, Patrick actually is leaving at the end of his contract. He had a different contract to me, it was a longer one, in 3 months' time. So would you hang on and leave when Patrick leaves, so we don't have to sort of have 2 goodbyes? And Wendy Padbury said, well, if you 2 guys are going, you're not leaving me alone in the TARDIS, I'll leave as well. So I was going to leave beforehand, but we all left together at the end of the war games. 10 episodes, my favourite story of the war game. We got paid 10 times. Well, 10 episodes.
A question for Sophie, please. Do you have a question for Sophie? Go ahead.
If Steven Spielberg makes the new series or the film, would you ever go back over to America to film?
I just think it would be such a bore to, go all the way to
Sophie
America.
will pay you $10 million.
No, I can't see myself doing. I'd much rather stay here and work on Droiby Time and Children's Channel, Yeah, obviously, I'd take it up like a shot. And it would be nice to think that they would do a sort of a tie-in with the ending of the last 2. But then it's been such a long time. In the public consciousness, Doctor Who was something that they don't really know is still going on. It's great that people like you come to conventions and you've got the videos and you're always watching it, so it's always with you. But for the sort of average person who just watches telly, they don't know who's Doctor Who anyway. Oh, is it Tom Baker still? You know, so they don't really have any sense of the continuity. So in a way, I have a feeling that they will just pick their new Doctor and companion and just carry on from there, which is a shame because I think, I mean, I loved playing Ace and I'd love to. Yes, absolutely. They can't do it without Jamie and Ace. I think that yeah, we think that would be great. So address your letters to Steven Spielberg.
Hollywood Boulevard.
Another question. Go ahead.
What was Sylvester McCoy like to work with?
Wonderful. I mean, I've learned a lot from Sylvester because I was always the kind of actress who kind of just reads a script, okay, yep, does it, you know, and I didn't really question what I was doing. And then Sylvester is completely the other way around, that he will look at, hang on a minute, that doesn't make sense. Why am I meant to be doing that if that is happening? And which is a really good thing, to actually question the character and always make sure that the character's doing the kind of things that the character would do. And he also taught me how to be very creative, and that's helped a lot in my children's stuff now, because I'm sort of thinking of things to do and constantly, oh, that would work better like that. I mean, it drives the directors mad. I mean, we'd be in the middle of a shot, and suddenly Sylvester would go, stop! I've just thought of something. We can't do it this way because blah, 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 blah. And the director would go, oh no, he's right. And so we'd have to reshoot the scene again or whatever. But that was really good because it gave it much more integrity somehow. And he was also, he was really good fun to work with. I mean, we constantly had fun when we were doing the show. And we decided that, I don't know whether you get this on Emmerdale or on certain long-running things, the regulars are a kind of like their team. They know each other very well. And when there's people coming in, it's often difficult for the people who are coming into the show to actually feel part of what's going on. And so they kind of just sort of sit at the edges. I did an episode of EastEnders last year, and I felt very much like I didn't really get involved at all because people didn't really kind of welcome you in. Or Sylvester and I decided that it would be a great idea if we were like party hosts and we welcomed people to the series and we just had fun with them. And it really worked brilliantly, and people wanted to come back and do it again. And we had Sylvia Sims was in Ghostlight, and she came in for the first 2 days, and I thought, oh, Sylvia Sims, you know, posh actress, and she's going to be, maybe she's going to be a bit difficult, you know. And for the first 2 days, she was very cool, and we thought, oh my goodness, she hasn't got a sense of humour, this is going to be a problem. So Sylvester and I, we bet each other, I think it was £5, who could make her laugh first. And sure enough, it didn't take long. It took about 2 days and she started laughing. And then I saw her again about 6 months ago at a charity thing. And she rushed up and she said, Sophie, how lovely to see you. I had such a fantastic time doing Doctor Who. And it's really nice how people really seem to have enjoyed their time. That was due to Sylvester being such a good sort of helmsman, if you like. I'm sure it was the same with you, wasn't it?
We did the same. Me and Patrick and I always made sure people were welcome. And we had a Wolf Morris who was playing the Padmasambhava, the sort of Dalai Lama sort of character. And he was a very, very heavy, serious actor. And we did the same thing. Who's going to make him laugh first? And after 3 days, he was cracking gags and sending the whole thing out and rolling his eyes around when he's in rehearsals to make a nice big sort of party spirit.
Well, we're going to wrap up this panel in 10 minutes to allow Fraser to go away and sign some autographs on the Who Shop stand in the dealer's room. But another guest who've already had on today, I'd like to get her back on stage again, please. Liz Sladen. With autographed chair.
3 chairs for Liz Sladen.
I have another message here. Both Sophie and Fraser will be signing at this panel, which will be in about 10 minutes' time.
How they spelt signing? I think quite similar to Patrick. His character, he was sort of very abrasive and a know-all, but he actually still got things wrong. I was looking forward to working with Colin on The Two Doctors in Seville, and we did the first read-through, and I cracked a gag, and Colin went, Fraser, love, I'm the doctor, I do the jokes. Oh, all right. And we flew off to Seville, and by the Wednesday, I cracked another gag, and it was sort of, Colin was saying, Fraser and I do the jokes. And then by the Saturday, Colin was saying, listen, love, Fraser does the jokes. So he swapped round. But I suppose Colin or John Pertwee, I think I'd like to work with John, because I met him at a lot of conventions, and I like John. He's, tall and authoritarian and a good doctor.
A question for Liz, please. Question for Liz? Surely.
All played out.
What are you doing for dinner?
Tell you later. Was there a hand there?
Yes, there was a hand there.
Please give me a question.
What's your favourite food?
My favourite food? Just off the top of your head, that just came.
Better than me.
I like cold food. I like to pick at things. I don't like eating with a knife and fork. I like things I can pick at. I've been doing it just now in the back. Lots of cheese, rolls, bits and pieces. Is that all right? That was a very interesting answer to a very interesting question. Thank you.
And a question for Sophie. There you go.
What do you think of the new adventures?
I have to be very... I don't know whether you had the microphone. I don't know whether... It doesn't work. It's Norman, what's his name? Yes, Collier, thank you. What do I think of the new adventures? Well, I have to admit, terrible thing, but I haven't read any of them. Sorry. I'm going to have to go away, shut myself in a room and read the new adventures, because people keep asking me this, and I keep saying I'm going to read them. I never get around to it. So I really must do that. I've heard that Ace has turned into some kind of warmongering sort of iron lady with machine guns and weapons and things like that, which worries me rather, because looking back, I was slightly worried by Ace's violence. I'm not a great fan of violence, and don't worry. And it's all right beating up Daleks with baseball bats, but anything else is not a very good idea. And also the Nitro 9 as well. I remember getting a rather worrying letter from a child who was about sort of 10 or 11, and it said, Dear Ace, please send me the recipe for Nitro 9 because I want to blow up my teacher. And I wrote back a very responsible letter saying, Ace only ever used Nitro 9 on alien beings. And I could imagine the child's reply, my teacher is an alien being! But, so that worries me a bit. And, if I ever were to play the character again, or to have a hand in how Ace was going to go, I would say that I would very much like her to move away from the violence. Because I don't think that's a very good idea.
And with that note, I think...
I'd like to do a quick...
song and dance.
When I did a song with...
No, I would not like to do a quick song and dance. But you...
No, you could actually... everybody can join in. It's a little song. I've got to... You just sort of follow the movement. It's very... You can finish off with. As I do it, you sort of... Maybe the girls like join in. I did it with Sarah Sutton in Toronto, and she said, I don't know how to do that. It's very easy. I sing the first few words of the song and then do an action. And you do the action along with me, see? And it's called the BBC. No, it's not a rude song either. It goes like this. The BBC now, 7 doctors had the BBC, and they never laughed, and they never cried. All they did was go like this, with a left. Now, as I go with the left, you go with a left. All right. So, with a left. With a left. And you do the same movement with me, right? BBC now, 7 doctors had the BBC, and they never laughed, and they never cried. All they did was go like this, with a left, and a right, The BBC now. 7 doctors had the BBC, and they never laughed, and they never cried. All they did was go like this, with a left, and a right, and a step, and you can join the words. The BBC now. 7 doctors had the BBC, and they never laughed, and they never cried. All they did was go like this, with a left, and a right, and a step, and a step. The BBC now. 7 doctors had the BBC, and they never laughed, and they never cried. All they did was go like this, with a left, and a right, and a step, and a step, and a nod. The BBC now. 7 doctors had the BBC, and they never laughed, and they never cried. All they did was go like this, with a left, and a right, and a step, and a step, and a nod, and a wiggle. Why the hell did I start there? The BBC now. 7 doctors had the BBC, and they never laughed, and they never cried. All they did was go like this. Boom!
And of course, the Fraser Hines fitness video is available from the dealer's room at £15.99. Please, let's say thanks to our guests today, Liz Sladen, Sophie Aldred, and the irrepressible Fraser Hines. Woo! And Fraser and Sophie will shortly be signing autographs in the dealer's room.